Big story on this visit to Beijing is the incredibly terrible smog. If you take a look at all these shots, you can see what I'm talking about. The situation is so bad that the international press has caught on to it, and they have actually asked my permission and taken my video to use in their press reports. The shots you see now are the shots that I took that LinkTV or LinkAsia used in two of their great reports. To give you a better idea about China's air quality policies, I've included all the audio and some of the video from the LinkAsia reports which I contributed to.
Hi, welcome to LinkAsia. I'm Yul Kwan. For 2 weeks, haze and fog have enveloped several regions in China, including Beijing. Roads were closed and flights were canceled. The public is demanding to know exactly how bad the air pollution really is. China's state-run broadcaster CCTV tells us how the government is responding to the criticism.
Beijing was encased in its thickest hazes last month. The city's environmental watchdog attributed the situation mostly to the weather.
In Beijing, the haze occurs every time the season changes. If fog continues for several days, it could happen. I've been living in Beijing for over 50 years. From my personal experience, it's normal. It's not pollution.
He says that's exactly what happened in October. The thick fog shrouding Beijing and most part of North China lasted for several days, resulting in a sharp drop in air quality.
I don't agree with the accusation that the air quality of Beijing has been worsening or made no progress over the past few years. What we experienced last month could have been a lot worse if it happened 5 or 6 years ago.
The disparity in the air quality monitoring results released by Beijing's weather forecast station and the U.S. Embassy in Beijing provoked mass debates. These differences are because of the different standards of measurement used. The U.S. Embassy gauges air pollutions with the PM 2.5 or particulate matter 2.5, which charts dust particles with diameters no larger than 2.5 micrometer. Chinese regulations, on the other hand, measure with the PM 10, which chart larger but less harmful to health dust particles.
We are making detailed standards to better monitor air quality, following the requirements of the Ministry of Environmental Protection.
Both the U.S. Embassy and the Beijing Environmental Protection Bureau have agreed their figures should not be compared with each other. According to Du Xiaozheng, the Bureau's result marks the average level of 27 monitoring stations in the city. Zhao Yunjie, CCTV.
Now, we heard in the report that the Chinese measure pollution differently than we do. They measure particles that are 10 micrometers in size, but the U.S. thinks that the even smaller 2.5 micrometer particles are more important to measure. Why is that?
Those particles are very important for human health because they very easily penetrate human tissue, the lungs, and so it's a more health-relevant measure. And in some cases in China, PM 2.5 has been found to compose around 50% of the particulate matter in the air.
So why aren't the Chinese measuring the smaller particles?
Currently, a lot of cities lack the equipment to measure PM 2.5. So that's one part. And the second part has been more political sensitivity surrounding the pollutant itself. And so the problem is that if cities and citizens were aware of what the PM 2.5 pollution levels are, there is a fear that there could be some sort of social unrest or some concerns from the citizens that the government is not doing their part to try to protect citizens against this harmful pollutant.
As of today, the government says that it's going to go ahead and measure the 2.5 micron particles, but only in 11 cities. Why aren't they doing this for the entire country?
Well, I think it's politically easier to first pilot PM 2.5 measurement in these model environmental cities, because by setting PM 2.5 as an aspiration for cities to attain this model city designation, it's not a mandate, and so it's not a requirement. And so this way, following the old Deng Xiaoping saying that we cross the river by first feeling the stones underneath, they can try to ease the nation into PM 2.5 measurement and try to send a policy signal from the very top levels that this is something that cities should be aspiring towards and that they should want to measure.
It seems that there's a public groundswell of support to adopt the 2.5 micron standard across the country. Now, have you been able to find out when these measures will be adopted in larger cities like Beijing and Shanghai?
So it is unclear what the timeline for rolling out these new standards will be. Even if the congressional meetings end up passing the new standards, it's still unclear. But I think that the fact that the Chinese government is now considering measuring PM 2.5, it's really just a first step. And so once they're able to measure the pollutant, then they can take the first step to try to manage the pollution. And then they can start to formulate policies that can control the pollutant. And so I think it's just really a first step.
Got it. Thanks so much, Angel. Angel Su is a researcher at Yale who focuses on China, air quality, and climate change.